All right, so welcome to today's stream. This is actually going to be a double stream today. So, for those who have been, watching this for a bit, you'll know that I do streams around software and creative bits, but I also have been doing some chats. And today at 9 Pacific, we're going to have, so an hour from now, we're going to have AEL Ronaldo Lawrence on with us, which is going to be great. So Ronaldo is one of the first AELs that I met when I joined that program. Hey, Annika, how are you today? Thanks for joining. So so I wasn't able to stream last week because I had some other stuff going on with it was just kind of like a messy day, right? So because of that, I just was like, I just can't do it. So it makes sense to do a double today. This first one here, we're going to be looking at some of the new 3D tools in Illustrator. So Illustrator isn't something that I use when I stream very much, but it is something that I teach on, and also I use it for different things here and there over the years. And one of the things that I always liked being able to do in Illustrator was work with 3D and to be able to extrude basic vectors and things like that. With this new version of Illustrator, we've got like a completely revamped 3D system here. So I actually haven't done anything with it yet. So I thought this would be a good time to start exploring that. So I'm new to it, and I'm going to be just kind of like working my way through it here. I'm going to try a couple different things and just kind of see how it works, right? So it'll be exploratory, it'll be fun. And in an hour we will this stream probably go to like 15 at the most, and then I'll have to like switch over and arrange for Ronaldo to come on, and then we can do that stream, which is going to be a nice discussion between AELs, so Adobe Education Leaders, myself and Ronaldo Lawrence. So exciting. All right, so so a couple other things. My book was finally released, so it's right above me up there. That's out now and available for purchase. It's no longer pre-order. And LinkedIn Learning, one of my Animate courses was just updated with December 2022 modern rigging. So have a look at LinkedIn Learning if you're interested in Animate. Actually, next week we're probably gonna do kind of like a deep dive on this stream into modern rigging on Animate. At least that's what I have scheduled right now. So Illustrator, here we are. So you get to the tools through Window, and I've already got it open here actually. 3D and Materials. It's right up top here. 3D and Materials. And if we look at it, we've got Object, Materials, and Lighting. And if you look down below, they make it really obvious this is a technology preview. But from what I've seen, it works really, really well. So let's start playing with it. All right. I guess I'm just gonna start with some basic shapes, right? So maybe use my Ellipse tool. Oops. Shift. There we go. Let's create a circle here. And we'll zoom in a little bit. So this is one thing I always refer my students to is, if it's Photoshop, if it's Illustrator, no matter what, the Navigator is just so useful when you're zooming in and out of things. And, I always have them go up and add the Navigator window, the Navigator panel to their layouts, because it's just amazingly useful all the time. I love the Navigator. Anyway, so there's the Navigator, and here's our 3D and materials. I've got them docked with properties because it's sort of related. By the way, incidentally, I really do enjoy the properties panel. Now that Illustrator has it, it takes so much stuff that used to be in multiple panels and brings them all into a single unified panel, which is great. And you can, of course, still get to the more advanced options here too. So let's see, we got plane. Let's check out what each of these do, right? So plane is, it says here, create a flat 3D object. Right, so there we go. We got off-axis frontier. These presets are very similar to what we had in previous versions of Illustrator, right? So we had a lot of these different, kind of like default views. Or rotations, I guess. But you've, of course, got fine control over this stuff right here through these little controls. So this is a lot like, you know, other tools in the past that I've used for doing 3D stuff. I'm thinking about, you know, Flash Professional, now Adobe Animate in particular, because that's my area of specialty here, right? Thinking about that, you get the same sort of thing where it's like a flat object that you can then rotate in space, right? So you've got your 3D rotation and translation tools, and you're able to just kind of like rotate it on all three of these axes in 3D space. So it looks like plane does exactly that. However, we've got stuff like extrusions, right? And again, the old version of these tools had extrusions, they had revolutions, so nothing new there. You can see for plane, we don't have anything around cap or bevel, right? So for extrude, let's go ahead and increase that depth. And there we go. It does exactly what you would think it would do, right? We create a nice little extrusion here. I don't know how big I want this. Don't glitch out on me, Illustrator. Don't do it. Oh, that's cool. Whether to keep the cap in or not. We can have it hollow or filled. Oh, we can choose to put a bevel on there, on the sides. So, classic bevel, round, convex. Yeah, I mean, these are all very similar to what we had before, just presented in a new way. And my understanding, too, is that what Adobe's done here is they've just completely reworked this entire thing. So like the engine's completely different. I guess it was actually developed in coordination with the Substance 3D team, who's responsible for Stager and Dimension and so forth. So yeah, let me know in the chat here. I always monitor the chat. Let me know how everybody's doing. And also, has anybody played with these new 3D and materials stuff inside of Illustrator? Let me know what your experience has been. This is the first time I'm really exploring them in any depth. All right, so that's extrusion. Let's check out revolve here. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Oh gosh. Offset. Ooh. Yeah, so like I said, like this is the first time I'm playing with these things here. So, Annika mentions, if you make too many 3D things and turn on ray tracing on high vector renders, it breaks Illustrator, especially if you resize. Yeah, I can imagine. So it looks like we've got some ray tracing right here, right? It's the same icon that's used in Stager and Dimension. So yeah, if I turn that on, it's gonna tax my machine quite a bit more, but things will probably look a bit better. And I don't have any materials on here yet either. Ooh, gosh, I can tell. Wow. Here we go. Pinwheel of Death. And Behance is flipping out. Oh, let's stop that right now if we can. Yeah, this is taking like all the processing power of my computer apparently to do this. Oh, look at that! Alright, let's turn ray tracing off. So, Annika. Yeah. Yeah, Illustrator just completely killed my stream right there. It brought it to its knees. So, yeah, good warning, Annika. And I had to test it, right? So yeah, let's do something a little more simple here. Instead of doing those, let's go to my extrusion again. Oh, we've got to inflate too. Let's check out inflate. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep ray tracing off. I've got a lot of different things going on this machine right now, and actually I should probably shut some stuff down. I'm almost at the end of a major production project using a number of different video editing tools. They're not Adobe tools, so I won't mention what they are, but they might have something to do with Camtasia. And yeah, that thing eats a lot of memory on my machine. Camtasia for Mac is like, oh my gosh, it's like stop. But anyway, I've got that open, and I've had that open for a couple weeks now because I've got a major project I'm doing for Peach Pit for their Classroom in a Book series, video recording, audio, stuff like that. And I'm almost done producing that, so that's gonna be great when it's done. Yeah, I should turn it off. Let me see if I can do that here. Let's quit. There we go. Goodbye, Camtasia. I'll see you later. After we're done all this stuff. Right on. All right. So I saw another comment up here from Jason. Hello, Jason. So can't seem to find the map art feature on the new 3D. Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. So if you're just joining, this is the first time I've really looked at the new 3D stuff inside of Illustrator. I'm not familiar with the new panel yet. So if I come across it, I'll let you know. Or maybe somebody in the chat may know where that is located. Yeah, so here's inflate. So let's do some rotation here. Yeah, it seems to work out pretty good when we don't have that ray tracing on there. You know, we could definitely, so extrusion is probably the one I use the most, right? Let's check out materials. So yeah, we've got all these new substance materials here. We got our default base material, Adobe Substance Materials, and do we have anything else? No, just Adobe Substance, which is fine. These materials are really nice. Let's see what we might want to use here. Check out some fabric. See, this always looks goofy when you like put it on like that. Oh man, we've got all our material properties here. Look at all those. That's one thing that I've always found, you know, really useful if using Dimension or Stager when working with 3D is, you know, the amount of materials that they have and the amount of custom little detailed properties that you can play with attributed to each of these materials. Oops, didn't really want to bring that up like that. Oh, cool. So yeah, yarn color, let's make it red. And I just canceled out of there. Yeah, so that's one thing that's really interesting about that I've learned from working on that large editing project that I was mentioning earlier. You've got, so I use a just standard kind of like trackpad here on my Mac. And it's nice for most things, but sometimes if you really want precision, a touchpad's not the best way to do it. Oh, let's do some metals. Look at this. I don't want it to be gold. Let's make this soft hammered aluminum. Oh, that looks so strange. Die-cast brass. You know, most of these materials just look so much better when you have ray tracing on. Which I'm really tempted. You know, I'm really tempted right here to render with ray tracing. Let's see. You know, I bet this is simpler, and I've turned off Camtasia and so forth. So let's go ahead and turn that on. See what a difference it makes. Oh, come now. Oh. Congratulations, Adobe Illustrator. Wow. Okay. Let's have a little intermission. Oh my gosh. I'm getting error reports for Illustrator. All right. You warned me, Annika. You were not kidding. Absolutely brings Illustrator to its knees. So we are going to return shortly, as soon as I can get Illustrator back up. And here we go. All right, we're back. So yeah, I'm not going to turn ray tracing on again. That is not going to work. And you know what? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure this stuff will get better. I guess that's why they have this big warning at the bottom, where it's a technology preview, right? All right, let's do another material here. Let's do fine leather. Oh, I should probably select my object first. Oh, that's something too that I should mention here. You've actually got a little gizmo here, just like you do in After Effects and in Dimension and Stager. You got this little gizmo where you can do rotations just right on the canvas here. On pause. Annika mentions making a poster series with the new 3D effects, and it's on pause for obvious reasons, right? Gosh, you know, it's unfortunate that they didn't leave in the older 3D workflows inside of Illustrator here. You know, since this is a technology preview and it's obviously, you know, I mean, it's great. These are great options, right? But, yeah, if Illustrator is going to crash when you're using it, that's probably not something you want as the default, right? You probably want that backup. And we know the backup works, so it's like, I don't know. Oh, these are nice. I like these lighting features here. Good stuff for the ambient light. And you've got the particular light here. Oh, we can turn shadows on. That's nice. That's a realistic shadow. Below object. Well, this is something I'm gonna have to play with quite a bit because interesting. Let's see here. Diffuse light. Top left. Yeah, so the shadow's working like it should, obviously. So what are these? Are these... So top left standard. I wonder what the difference is. It's not quite apparent to me right now. The difference between some of these lightings here, these presets. I guess they're just a set of 4 kind of random presets. It's kind of strange. You would think if they were presets, you'd have more options than just these. And it's a weird selection here. But, yeah. So yeah, anybody else have experience with these new 3D and materials tools inside of Adobe Illustrator here. Let me know in the chat what your experience has been. Have you been able to destroy Illustrator as I have? Let's see. What are some other things we can put on here? Oh, so some stuff I wanted to try out too. Let's do like a stone texture. It's nice. So some other things that I wanted to try were things around type. This is just a basic shape, right? So stuff around type and maybe some stuff around bitmaps. Bring those in and see how to work with them. So Jason mentions, on my M1 MacBook, I can render okay. Doesn't always crash. Used to be able to use the legacy 3D, but that seems to have disappeared now. Yeah, and it's weird, because it's like, this is obviously a preview. Because it says it right here. And so you would think that the old way of doing things would still be around. Of course, oh God. Look at that. Woo. Well, Adobe. Yeah, I mean, send report. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, you would think that they would have some a fallback, right? That's fun. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I might actually just call this stream right here. I've crashed Illustrator twice now. And that last time, it was simply docking my 3D and materials panel, right? That shouldn't crash Illustrator. Come on. Corpse notify. Here, this will be fun. Let's go through and examine our crash report here for Illustrator, right? So we might find some fun things, and then we'll wrap up the stream. Because obviously, I'm not going to be able to do much of anything with this workflow, which is kind of rotten, but I'm sure the Illustrator team is working on fixing this stuff, right? So let's try to find anything that's interesting. So aside from Illustrator too, like in the chat as we're like looking through this, I wonder, you know, what everybody's experience has been with Dimension recently or Stager. Just keeping it, you know, talking about 3D here. Look at this exception note. Exception corpse notify. Huh. That must mean because it's dead, right? Corpse notify. That's pretty cool. So I used to be a software engineer in my previous life, and it's always interesting to try to like look for stuff in here and see if there's anything that, you know. Yeah, so obviously here, if you look at all of this, it crashed drawing the UI. And that's most likely the user interface for Illustrator itself, right? So you've got the UI being drawn and rendered on the screen. But you've also got, you know, the 3D stuff that needs a lot of resources as well. So, yeah. Oh, Annika, you too. You used to do software stuff. That's cool. Yeah. I don't know. I got really burnt out from it. And it wasn't fun anymore. So, that's kind of why I went into teaching full time. And I mean, it was kind of inevitable for me. Like everything was going that way with like, you know, the books and, you know, the LinkedIn learning stuff and and all of that. And I had been doing some adjunct teaching anyway for years and years before I made the real jump over to full-time faculty. So, yeah. Well, look at that. All these little threads. Wow. Look at these threads. Illustrator is a monster. How many threads did it have running here? There's over 100. Yeah. So not you, Annika mentioned, oh, so haven't used Dimension since they killed it for M1. They brought it back, but I haven't gotten around to making anything. Yeah, you know, and it's so silly. Like, people were begging for M1 support in Dimension for like a year before they actually did it. And then when they did it, they were kind of like, oh, that wasn't that hard. And it's like, you know? But yeah, M1, I've used Dimension on M1. This is an M1 machine here. I've used Dimension on it, and it works really well, you know? And Stager I've also used, and it works really well on M1 too. But yeah, Adobe's in a really weird situation right now with all of their 3D stuff for various reasons. They've got two almost identical applications in Dimension and Stager, right? And you know, they've said, oh, we're not going to really update Dimension anymore, but you know, you've got a bunch of people who are reliant on Dimension now, but they would have to pay for another entire suite with Stager. It's a real bad move. It looks bad for them. I think Adobe needs to reconsider that. I mean, fine, make Stager the thing, kill Dimension, whatever, but don't abandon your core users. Don't do it. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other fun stuff like that corpse. And this is just all, look at all this. This is like JSON here, huh? Looks like JavaScript object notation. Oh, look at that. It is JavaScript. Look at that right there. UXP. Oh, you know what? Shh. I almost just cussed. So UXP, for those who don't know, UXP is the kind of framework that you build out panels and extensions in most Adobe products for now. So unfortunately, it all is JavaScript based. So it used to be you would write ActionScript and MXML and stuff like that for, you know, writing panels and extending all the Adobe tools. But then when they came up behind Flash Player, grabbed it and sliced its throat, right? They quickly moved off of that to JavaScript, which of course is a complete mess. Why would you build? I'm not going to get into engineering stuff. Anka, thank you for the congratulations. Thank you. So a question, have you used the new Creative Cloud Express, the old Adobe Spark? Yes, I have. I actually, you know, so I never liked the term Spark, and I never liked the absolute reliance that various communities in Adobe seem to have on doing everything in Spark. It's like, you guys have like this whole set of tools, this entire, you know, 50 plus applications that you can create stuff in. Not everything has to be done in Spark, especially web pages, because, you know, they'll put out web pages and you just, the way it works, it just scrolls forever, right? It works awesome if you are using like very focused, very simple, you know, very short content, short form presentations in a Spark page. That works great. I have my students do that for reflections and critiques and things of that nature. It's awesome for that. But creating this giant, lengthy, infinitely scrolling monstrosity inside of Spark page, it's just bad. It's like, knock it off, guys. So anyway, I came up with the hashtag #DrunkOnSpark to sort of rib them a bit about these things. And yeah, now that it's called Creative Cloud Express, I guess I can't call it that anymore. But I do like a lot of the additions to that they made with Creative Cloud Express. I like the name better, even though it is much more lengthy. Adobe's never been good with naming things, right? I mean, look at Adobe Animate, right? You got Adobe Animate, and you have Adobe Character Animator, which people get confused between the two all the time. And you've got Adobe Edge Animate, which of course is dead, but yeah, it's just confusion upon confusion upon confusion. But yes, I have used New Spark, hashtag New Spark, Adobe Creative Cloud Express, and it's been good. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, I like to use it for various things, right? I think it's really cool for, the thing I use most of all inside of Express is their, despite that I just completely like eviscerated the web page functionality of that in this stream, that's what I use the most. Simply because it's great to be able to get something together to pitch, right? Or to, you know, invite somebody to. So for instance, I'm working in a small group as part of the Adobe Education Leaders for this year, which is focused on sort of creative experimental projects that we're going to be undertaking. And I'm leading a project around there that I'm ramping up the sort of instructions for, the direction about. I'm really excited about it. It's going to have to do completely with audio design. And I've got the best way for me to condense all my thoughts around it and the instructions and the direction and the thematic bits and pieces is with what was formerly known as Spark Page. It worked really well for it. I was able to link off to Google Forms for registration and submissions of content and so forth. So yeah, I'm sure I'll be talking more about that project as we go through it. But that's going to be one of my bigger projects for the Adobe Education Leaders Group for this year, at least the first half of the year. And yeah, it's absolutely Creative Cloud Express, focus on beginners and new designers. Yeah. So, and that's how I present it in my class. So I have a class that's completely focused on Creative Cloud, right? And its main focus is on the professional desktop software. But we do use Creative Cloud Express for a couple of things. I've got a week dedicated to Creative Cloud Express, and that's actually next week. So it's week 3. And yeah, it's a good introduction, right? Because a lot of these students, they've never used creative design software before. So Creative Cloud Express allows them to, you know, get familiar with concepts like, you know, compositing different pieces of type and imagery and vector art and everything together, and stuff like that. Layers, being able to remove backgrounds, and then some basic, you know, stuff if they create a web page, how to embed content in a page and share things off and so forth. So I think it is really good for, just like Annika says here, beginners, new designers, and also if you want to get something out really quickly, it's also really good for that. So this one's cool. As I'm talking, I noticed some of these terms. So nanosleep. Nanosleep is a cool term. Could use that for something, right? Anyway, So I'm P-Sync CV Weight. Gosh. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I did a lot of, and this was some years back, I did a lot of some work for Adobe for panels and extensions inside of Photoshop in particular, but I've also done some stuff with Animate and some other desktop apps, but a lot with Photoshop. So I sort of inherited some. I don't know if everybody ever used the level up panel inside of Photoshop. That was probably big about 10 years ago or so at this point. Maybe 8 years, I don't know. With the pandemic, it's, time is really something else now, So it's hard to remember the old world. But yeah, that was pretty cool. It was focused on like doing specific things inside of Photoshop, being able to then award people with badges and stuff like that. So it's not something I created, but it's something I sort of inherited and maintained for a little bit. I was also working when they made the switch to like JavaScript and HTML for panels. There was the Photoshop streaming project for Chromebooks and stuff like that was going on. And I did the initial kind of prototype panel that it's very similar to what the Learn panel is right now in Photoshop. We have different tutorials that you can step through, right? Yeah, and I actually did that in Angular version 1. That was a fun project. I got to work with the Photoshop streaming team on that. Yeah, lots of good stuff. I haven't done much in terms of panels and extensions since then, mostly because I don't do development work anymore. But anyhow, it's about 9:40, and we've probably spent over half the time on this Illustrator stream just talking about Adobe in general and anecdotal things, which is always kind of fun. I always like, I wish instead of chat, there'd be like a way for people to like jump on kind of thing. But yeah. Yeah, so in 20 minutes, I am going to have a second stream today. And in that stream, it's going to be a live stream chat. And we're going to have a talk with AEL Ronaldo Lawrence. So he's somebody I've known ever since joining the Adobe Education Leader program. And huge, huge respect for Ronaldo. He welcomed me into the program. He kind of, onboarded me a bit. And he's, yeah. I mean, we used to get together, of course, before the pandemic. All the AELs, every summer, usually in July. And we'd meet at like the San Jose offices or the San Francisco offices. One time we did it in New York City, which was kind of fun. We were supposed to do it in Washington, D.C. In 2019. That was the last time we were supposed to have a in-person get-together. Of course, that didn't happen for obvious reasons. And yeah, it's terrible. I miss getting together with people, especially like-minded people like the Adobe Education Leader Group. So, these chats that I'm doing with AELs, which there'll be one happening in 20 minutes here, are kind of meant to assist with that. And also, of course, assist with my own personal sanity here. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Annika. You have a great day, too. And thanks for joining, Jason. And I don't see anybody else in the chat, but I know you're out there. So those people who are still out there, thank you for joining me today to watch Illustrator get completely destroyed by the new 3D and Materials panel. it's been eye-opening. Right on. I'll see everybody. You know, if you join us in 20 minutes, please do. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Or I'll see you all next week, same time. All right. Bye, everyone.